gethelp.me helps you feel better.
Being able to effectively communicate with other people is a vital tool for success in all kinds of areas in life, from building and forming relationships with other people to work projects. But so often communication goes wrong. Being a hypnotherapist, I've had to learn about effective communication. And certainly you learn that some ways of communicating are much better suited to getting your message across than other ways. Sometimes we need to be very direct with people, very unambiguous, so they know exactly what we're talking about. But sometimes in life, and certainly when you're doing hypnotherapy, you need to know how to be indirect, even using metaphor or talking in parallel. For example, if people take things very, very personally, sometimes if you want to get a message across to them, you need to not be so much you do this or you do that, but maybe talk in parallel. So you present a pattern over here, and then they can see the pattern and apply it to themselves without having to be force-fed the message. Okay, so there are different ways of communicating, very directive and sometimes indirect, what we might call permissive communication. Depends whether I was thinking the other day, I was hearing somebody using inflections at the end of sentences, okay, which is never used to be part of language as far as I know, but has taken off. So people will end sentences as if they're questions when they're not questions. So, I was in the park the other day. I don't know, were you? I wasn't following you. I've only got your word for that. It doesn't sound very confident. This is a problem. People need to know when it's a real question and when it isn't a question. If you want to sound confident when you communicate, then you can do the opposite. You can deepen your tonality at the end of a sentence. Okay. So rather, I want you to relax deeply. Okay, I want you to relax deeply. Some doubt there because I'm going up at the end. Say, okay, now in a few minutes, it'd be wonderful for you to notice that you can start to relax deeply. Okay. Now, lowering the tonality at the end of a sentence makes it more authoritative. So knowing when and why you're using inflection in your language is vital. And also which words you emphasize, okay, where the emphasis is. If we want somebody to relax and to feel comfortable and calm, start to feel good, then we can deepen the tonality and even pause around those words. So the unconscious mind is getting the message that these are the important bits of the communication. Okay. So, you can really begin to notice what it's like to relax. And as those hands relax and the eyes begin to feel tranquil, you can begin to notice what it's like to have that calm feeling all around the body. And as you feel calm and feel relaxed and feel comfortable, all kinds of good feelings can come to mind. So there I'm emphasizing feel calm and feel relaxed and feel good. Okay, what we emphasize tends to be what people pick up when we're communicating with them, which isn't rocket science, it's kind of obvious. Okay, conflict resolution, again. If somebody's getting upset, we need to know how to communicate with them. It's a curious thing. Years and years and years ago, I worked as a charity telephone fundraiser, and you'd phone up people and ask them for money for a good cause. Okay, and we were taught not to ask people what they thought about giving money to refugees or to canine relief or whatever it was, but how they felt about giving money. If you ask someone what they think about something, you're appealing to a different part of the brain, the thinking rational part that considers that they have a mortgage to pay. But if you ask them how they feel about giving money to canine relief, okay, then you're appealing to the emotional part of them, and they may be more likely to give money. It's the same if someone's very upset, you're having to deal with a very upset person, asking them how they feel about things can make them feel more upset. Okay, but using thinking words, appealing to the left hemisphere of the brain, the rational part, can actually dampen down the emotions, so they start to feel clearer in their own mind again. What do you think about this? What do you think we should do here? When you consider this, okay, if we rationalize this, what do we think we should do? It's very different from saying, how does that feel? Does it hurt? Do these feelings hurt? And so forth, which can exacerbate the emotional experience that someone's having. So knowing about these tips and techniques can enable us to become better communicators. Also, if we're using conflict resolution, using I statements rather than you statements, stuff like this. So rather than you do this or you do that, or you never take any notice of me, or you always do that wrong. Okay, the you word is extremely threatening. But if we start a statement with I, then it's less threatening. I really think that perhaps there's a better way for us to do this. Is less threatening than you never do this right. Okay, I think that perhaps gives a person a chance to actually relax and to listen to what you're saying. When we communicate, it's no good just saying the words. We have to ensure that the person is in the right receptivity of mind to be able to take on what we're saying to them. So communication is a huge art and science. There are many different aspects to communicating effectively that you'll find within this section of the article database. And the better able we are to communicate with other people means the better able we are to build relationships for the benefit of everybody.
uncommonhelp.me helps you feel better.